I'm Joe, and the man
And actually it's Werner.
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 I'm never gonna
Can you
say it
say
right.
Werner?
I'm never gonna say it
It
right.
is
Werner.
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 Ver.
Yeah,
Werner.
there we go. Eh?
Werner.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
man.
that's
I
it.
have to
Lekker
like
man.
roll my R's. Werner.
Yeah, yeah,
Werner.
Werner.
Arr.
Yeah, no. Okay, now you're just sounding like a now you're just sounding like a 400cc scooter that's like trying to start. Yeah, cool.
Welcome, guys. Tonight we're going to talk about conspiracy theories. What
The
they
literal
are.
word.
Yeah,
The
we're not
literal word. The actual word.
exactly the actual word. Why some people may think it's crazy, some people don't. Let us know in the comments. If you have any questions specifically to conspiracy theories or anything like that, Venner is like a huge buff, and so am I, but he knows a lot more
No,
than
no,
I
no.
do.
I just search faster than most people.
There you go.
I just type no, no.
Look at those
How
earphones.
about well, I mean, if there are people looking right now, I mean, I don't know, and see if we've got people watching, but if they, maybe people can type, where they believe the word conspiracy theory came from,
Yeah, that's actually a good
um,
question.
or what it means to them. Does it mean if somebody says you're a conspiracy theorist, does it mean you're a whack job, crazy, a lunatic,
Mm.
a fringe, whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we do have a few viewers now, so please, guys, let us know if
Mm.
you hear the word conspiracy theory or
What's
theorist.
the like? Do you think like tinfoil hats?
Do
Mm.
you think crazy people? Do you think doomsday preppers? Do you think whatever? Maybe
Mm.
something, an event pops into your head, like,
Yeah,
oh,
what is that
9/11.
image? I mean, it would be interesting. It would be interesting just to kind of know, Joe, like for you before you sort of got into this whole thing, when you heard the term conspiracy theorist, what's the picture that sort of comes to mind, just first off the bat?
It's hard for me to answer that question because I've always been into conspiracy theory since I was about maybe 14 years old.
Mm.
The first time I heard about conspiracy theories was when I was researching about 9/11. Um,
Okay.
I didn't know what a conspiracy theory was. So like what happened was I was just doing research on 9/11, and then this my friend told me, "Oh, you need to watch this documentary."
Mm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
downloaded it, I watched it, and in the documentary they mentioned there's a big conspiracy theory about 9/11. That was the
Mm.
first time it was ever presented to me.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
from there on, I just Googled like other crap.
Mm.
Um, I've never. I think I'm the kind of conspiracy person, if I can put it that way. I'm a fan of it. I enjoy them. I definitely enjoy conspiracy theories. I like listening to other people's thoughts
Mm.
and how they came to
Yeah, it's
this
like a cool
conclusion.
story.
Yeah,
It's like a
exactly.
little cool detective game.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
And
so.
I will listen to a lot of them. I really will. I'll probably listen to all of them, really. There are some that I still don't know about. I'm sure there's plenty that I don't know about.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, of course.
but there are some where I'm like, it's a bit of a
Of
stretch.
course. And
Bit of a stretch.
that is an irrational human being, and I think that is well, before I get there, when I think of the word just conspiracy theorist, the first thing that jumps to mind, and even to me, somebody that enjoys the stuff and I research it and I enjoy it, it's like a hobby. Some people build puzzles. I like to research stuff. So, um, uh, but the first image that kind of comes to mind is that Weird Al Yankovic song, where he has tinfoil hat, and you know, it's so there's definitely that negative connotation, or that call it negative, call it a funny connotation, so you don't take it serious. So the moment somebody throws the word conspiracy theorist
Mm,
or conspiracy theory in, immediately your program, your mind just go, yeah, this is BS, rubbish. I can
mm,
write it off because you know what, I don't have time for that.
mm. Yeah.
So you already have a prejudice against any content. The moment those two words are thrown into that sentence, most people have a negative connotation with that
Yeah.
from that going forward. So you immediately have a confirmation bias, and your confirmation bias will immediately be against it. And this is, I mean, this is very well known. So if you immediately want to start discredit any piece of information, all you have to do is, oh, this is just some crazy conspiracy theory, you know, and you kind of just like brush it off. Oh, it's just a conspiracy theory, and immediately, in most people's mind, you've created that visual image of this thing and that piece of data, and they've made that connection, and they've already junked it before they've even looked at it, right? So, and that I think is, for me, arguably the biggest problem of using the term conspiracy theorist. You know, I mean, and if you look at what does it mean, conspiracy. What does a conspiracy mean? Well, conspiracy is just, no, actually, it's just, if you look at it, the legal definition is an agreement between two or more persons to engage jointly in an unlawful or criminal act, or an act that is innocent in itself but becomes unlawful when done by the combination of actors. Yeah. So, I mean, so first of all, when you say conspiracy theory, what you're saying is you have a theory about something which may be an illegal activity. All right. So that is, and technically, when you talk about conspiracy theories, you know, and they talk about, like, you know, Bigfoot, you know, that's not actually, that's just a theory. There's no illegal activity around Bigfoot running around in the jungle.
Yeah.
You know, same
with the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, there's no illegality around the Loch Ness Monster swimming on a flat Earth plane. You know, so there's nothing illegal to those. So those are just theories.
Yeah.
Those are just theories. Do you live on a globe, or do you live in a dome? You know, these are just theories. Some of them are absolutely, you know, absolutely mind-bendingly absurd, you know, as I've just sort of said, and others far more rational.
Yeah.
You know? So things like, if you look at the JFK assassination, a lot of people didn't buy the official storyline. The lone gunman on the grassy knoll, super successful, shooting a moving car at 16, you know, and he got super lucky. So it's now, if you question that, now that becomes a conspiracy theory, because now you are questioning the official narrative of what's been discussed about something which may be an illegal, which is obviously, if you shoot the freaking president of any country, that's an illegal activity, right?
Yeah.
Right in there. So if you have even the slightest of problem, you know, with, I mean, you could agree that it was Lee Harvey Oswald acting as a lone gunman, but your theory says, well, he actually didn't shoot it from here, he shot it from, you know, on the other side of things. That's just a theory.
Yeah.
You know, it's so again, I think we need to disconnect that idea from the moment that you say conspiracy theory, we immediately junk the information that is attached to that.
Yes. No, I agree. I don't understand in some cases why some people think it's such a bad thing for people to talk about conspiracy theories. And once again, those of you that are watching, please comment and let us know what you think when you hear the word conspiracy theories. Do you immediately switch off? Is there a memory? Do you think of one specific story? What is it to you? Please comment. We're waiting to hear from you. Let's get this discussion going.
Yeah, and maybe what is their favorite?
Or what is your favorite? Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And for the people that aren't watching live, they can maybe comment.
Yeah.
Just leave a comment, and then we can check and we can talk about your favorite conspiracy theory, maybe.
Yeah, please do.
Because these things are, yeah.
So you go.
Yeah. No, carry on.
So I was gonna say that conspiracy theories, I think the only reason why there's a negative impression, or whatever you want to call it, with the word or the words conspiracy theory is because of the mainstream media. And yet some mainstream media...
And you can't even say that. The moment that you say mainstream media, you say MSM, most people will just switch off. They go, you don't believe Sky News, you don't believe CNN, you don't believe Al Jazeera. What is wrong with you? Yeah, and again, you know, it's you can watch all of those news channels and and you could accept some of the things that they say as truth. It just doesn't mean that everything that they tell you is the truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially not when it comes to a lot of the main leading topics.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, that's that's another thing.
Exactly. But
So let's call them just traditional media.
traditional media, that's good. That's better. But again, like I understand why traditional media says that. I understand why. Here we go. There's a comment. He just says, "Good evening, Joe and Werner. Trust you. Why? I trust why."
Mm.
I think he meant to say, "I trust Joe well." Thank you, Storm,
Mm.
for tuning in. Please, if you have anything to say about conspiracy theories, let us know. What do you think when you hear that conspiracy theory? Are you the one that kind of shies away from it, or do you want to hear more about what the conspiracy theory is? So yeah, as I was saying, with the media, I think it's weird because sometimes they will touch on conspiracy theories, but they won't call it a conspiracy theory. They'll say, "Oh, there's a theory, or there's a new story, or there was whatever." They won't flat out say conspiracy theory. Um, and I think that one of the reasons why they do that is because a lot of the times conspiracy theories, that's what they are. They're a theory. There's nothing concrete. There's
Yeah,
nothing.
exactly.
There's nothing definitive, and I think that's what kind of also kind of like. I mean, I sometimes feel it. There was this series called Finding Hitler. I don't know if you've seen it.
Mm.
And it's about this group of people that go to research about Hitler and this whole theory that he actually got out of World War
That he
II
escaped,
and he
yeah, and that he
escaped
escaped
and
to
he
South America. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm familiar with that one.
And the whole series just follows it. It's very interesting,
Mm.
very well done.
Mm.
It was on history, and
Yeah.
but at the end, sorry for anyone who hasn't watched it, but I mean, it's not really a spoiler. They don't find him. There's
Mm.
no
Of course.
conclusive.
And that's why it remains a theory.
But that kind of pisses me off because you want them to find. Like I was on the side of like I want you to find. Tell me,
But I mean,
just
yeah,
like
yeah. Mm.
what's that other one? Oak Island. Have you heard of that one?
Mm-hmm.
So Oak Island is an island in I think it's in the States or in Canada. I can't remember. And it's obviously an island. And in the middle of the island, there's this huge shaft that goes right. They don't know how far down it goes, but it's like
Mm.
it goes deep down. And there's like at certain points, there's like levels of wood and other debris and stuff like that. And they think this was made like when Jesus was around, just after his death, and they theorize that the Ark of the Covenant is buried under there because when you try and dig, they found two other tunnels that lead into that shaft, and
Mm-hmm.
what happens is water keeps on filling up. So whatever is down
Mm.
there was meant to be hidden forever. Some say it's
Mm.
pirate treasure. Other people say, oh, it's like a pharaoh, like the English stole something from the pharaohs and put it there. So I don't know. But that one, they never found out what was at the bottom, and that really pissed me off because they found things.
But maybe it's a good thing, though. But maybe it's a good thing. What if it's something really nasty that we want to keep buried under mud and sludge for millennia?
But you see, now,
Because that's
don't
when
you
you
think
go.
humans should know, though? Don't you think humans should find out? Don't you think we should learn about our own history?
Look, as much as I agree with that, right? I do think having some mysteries left unsolved is actually good because it leaves some mystery for you.
Nah,
You know,
I want to know
it's
everything.
just a nah.
I want some
I
of
want to
them.
leave a little.
I want some like the biggest thing for me personally, the one conspiracy theory that I really get roped into, and my ears perk up, is aliens. Anything about aliens, anything, and yes, to some extent, I'm noticing more and more people are saying like, "Oh no, but aliens do exist. It's stupid to think that." In this whole big universe, that there's no other species. That doesn't make sense. And I agree, but I want to see one. I want to see the documentation that was hidden in Roswell. I want to see
Mm.
pictures of aliens when they found them. I want Roswell and Area 51 to kind of be debunked in terms of like, we knew you were lying. Why didn't you tell us the truth? We can actually handle it.
But here's the flip side of it, right? So and this is also touching on the subject of this conspiracy theorist or theorist, right? When you're talking about And I would say is, some things you're a conspiracy theory and some things you're just a theorist. Because some things you're theorizing about illegal activities, some things you're just theorizing about things. So when you're theorizing about something, you almost take the scientific method to it.
Yes.
You kind of uncover information, you evaluate that information, and then you look for, counter, information that may support counter that information, right? And that is, if you go call yourself a good theorist or conspiracy theorist, that is part of your process, part and parcel, So, and again, coming back to this negative connotation, to it's almost like a slander, you're just a conspiracy theorist, or you're a nut job.
Yeah.
Well, sure, I do believe there are some people that would just take anything and they would copy and paste it because it seems sensational, it seems crazy, it's because it's clickbaity. So there are definitely a lot of those people, but there are definitely a lot of people that I believe are, they go and they go look at things in depth for themselves.
Yeah.
And does that make them a bad person? Even if they come to the wrong conclusion, in the end, at least that and if you are also, if you're a good conspiracy theorist, you'll always remain open to new evidence to change your mind.
Yeah.
Or to change your viewpoint, right?
Yeah.
Because you generally, as a conspiracy theorist, you start off trying to debunk the thing that's being theorized.
Well, it's like science. Like you have a hypothesis. Your hypothesis.
You have a hypothesis, and then you try and It's kind of like trial and error.
Yeah.
So you go in your hypothesis and you go look for something and you look for evidence that may destroy that or things. And when you don't come up with evidence that would knock it off, sure, it may not be the smoking gun, and it's like this is, and I think this is the important, when you go through a lot of these theories, and a lot of people like myself, it's almost like a scale. You have a bullshit scale, and then you've got a probable scale, and with each thing that you research, you're either adding something to the bullshit scale, or you're adding it to the probable scale. Now, when your probable scale starts weighing way more than your BS scale, then you have to kind of go, maybe this is probable, maybe this is possible, maybe what we're being told is, and if you don't do that, you're ignorant. So I will say to the people that call out people as conspiracy theorists, and if this is a true conspiracy theorist in the true sense of the word, you're going to open yourself up for a can of whoop ass, if you start debating with those kind of people, because most of those people are actually very well read, well prepared. They generally don't bother getting into debates, because you can throw evidence at people, you can throw documents at people, but most folks won't go and go do the actual reading. They won't go through detail. They just won't.
Yeah.
They want somebody in a position of authority to say to them, this information pile that we have collected here, this is what you must believe. And they go, thank goodness, I don't have to do anything for myself. You have done all my thinking for me. Thank you so much. So and I think, for me, that's why I wear the label theorist or conspiracy theorist gladly. I'm an analyst programmer. That is what I do. Like, my job entails like going to, like, I used to, you'd have to go into any business, in any business vertical, whether it's a financial, whether it's a industrial kind of orientated business, or it's marketing or telecoms or whatever it is. You'd have to go analyze a particular problem, come up with a solution, and using these processes of elimination, trial and error, and kind of like figuring it out. That is what I'm trained to do, and it's quite a methodical process.
Yeah.
So, and once you get there, it's, and this is the part where I get a little bit irked sometimes, is that you get people that are supposedly smart, supposedly intelligent, but they will take information that comes from a position a perceived position of authority and just take it, just accept it as blanket truth. Um, so, yeah, but I do get that there are a lot of crackpot crazy people that just smoke a little bit too much of the herb. You know what I mean?
Represent. We do have a few comments here.
Mm,
Storm says, "Good evening, Joe and Werner. I trust you are well." So he corrected himself.
mm,
For me,
mm,
conspiracy theory starts with JFK. So when he hears conspiracy theory, he thinks of JFK, which is a good one. That's a very, very
mm,
good one. And that might
mm,
be a topic that Ben and I will cover
mm.
in the future. I think that's a very
Yeah,
popular one. And then
yeah.
Deborah says when she just left a link to, it looks like it's a WikiLeaks. Thanks, Deborah, for the comment there. WikiLeaks. Sorry. I don't think
Mm.
that's a conspiracy theory. I, would that
Yeah,
be a
no, I
conspiracy?
mean WikiLeaks is just a resource pool. It's just a resource. It's a treasure trove of information. Now, once you go into that, I mean, and this is where if we talk about say a certain pedo-related theories, conspiracy theories, and if you go into some of those emails and you go look at what is actual FBI verified code words and semantics that is used to track and trace online predators, right? You find in a lot of these emails.
Mm,
Is it BS? Is it all coincidence? And this is just one of those things that you add to the probable pile.
mm,
It's just one of them. That's not the smoking gun, but it's just one of the things that you add to it.
yeah.
And then you start looking at a lot of the artwork that a lot of these people have. And then you go, ooh, well, now this becomes interesting. Now that's another item that you add to the probable pile.
Mm,
And so it just keeps adding and keeps adding. And then it gets to the point, well, actually, now it's really starting to paint a pretty clear picture. So now it's it's still a theory, yes, but it starts becoming less of a theory, and it starts becoming much more of a probabilistic theory. So your probability of that being true now becomes from a 20% to a 70, 80%, and as each thing that you get, until maybe you get that one big smoking gun, BS thing that just weighs a megaton, like you've been just taken, like all of a sudden, it comes out that all of this is just, you've been taken, as internet life, or things have been manipulated, etc. Then everything goes on the BS pile.
mm.
So yeah, that's.
That's true. I just here we go. Storm says, "Have you guys spent time on Joel Epstein?" Joel
Joel
Joel Epstein. I know
Jeffrey
Jeffrey Epstein.
Epstein,
Yeah, I think you meant Jeffrey Epstein.
because I know Joel Osteen and Jeffrey Epstein, two very different people. But I equally distrust both of them. I personally I wouldn't spend a night with either of them. Just say,
Jeffrey Epstein is the guy that his suicide is questionable, right? That's
yeah,
Jeffrey.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I
That
mean,
one. Yeah.
even if Ricky Gervais, if you go and look at the last, and which I believed him, when he said this is the last one, this is going to be the last Golden Globes or the last Oscars. I don't even know which one.
He said it's going to
What
be the last one that he hosts. That's what he said.
it will be the last one. He said it's the last one. We all know it. So. And I mean, when he said, I get like he's all your friend, you had to get here on your own plane, and like, sure, people were having a laugh, but there were a lot of nervous faces in that room,
Yeah, exactly.
right? So, I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that Jeffrey Epstein was dealing in compromise.
Oh yeah.
You know,
But
yeah.
that's the thing. You see, this is one of those things that, again, the media covered, right? The media
Mm,
spoke about it. The media
mm,
even went into the. Again, they didn't say it. They didn't say conspiracy theory, but they still spoke about the questionable death. That people are
mm,
asking about the situation. I mean, come on. It's like JFK was done better in a
mm.
sense. You know that whole story, and then there's the guy that shot from the window,
It,
and
it was so bad, right? It was so bad that the moment that he was arrested, right? people started posting memes saying, "We're so sorry to hear about his suicide in 2 weeks from now." That's how bad, people knew it was gonna. Like he was such a high level figure with so many high level, like you knew he was not gonna make it past
Oh
two
yeah,
weeks.
no way.
I personally, I am so surprised that Harvey Weinstein is still walking. Like
Yeah,
it
but
boggles
I
my
have
mind.
a theory about that one, or maybe this is a populist theory. I don't know, but the reason why Harvey's still walking around is because he has dirt on a lot of people,
Oh, he
and
does, he does.
and I think he's made insurances. Like he's told someone like if I die, X is gonna come out, or if I die, this and this is going to happen. There's a reason
Mm.
why he's still alive,
Yeah.
and
So
that's probably it.
so now a lot of the people like myself that have been following a lot of this stuff for years made the prediction that then either he's going to be suicided or it's going to be a fake death, right? So he's being protected.
You're
So
talking about
so
Harvey now,
he's
right?
no, I'm talking about Jeffrey,
Okay.
right? So and this is again, here's the theory that the person that's shown in the images of Epstein's death, it's not him. If you look at the nose and you look at the ears, the ear shape and the nose shape is completely different. So it's again, and these are theories, and we don't really know. Is he really dead? Is he sitting maybe in Gitmo and he's singing, and is he awaiting? Is he awaiting a military tribunal with the rest of them? So these are all theories.
I
These are all
think
theories.
I think he's alive. I think the reason why I think he's alive is just simply because of how sloppy the story is. That
Mm.
at that moment of his death, the cameras went out, the guards were sleeping. I mean, come on.
Exactly,
It's
exactly,
like there's
exactly.
too much happening that happened to be right. You want to tell
I
me
mean,
that
it is literally like you're watching a movie, right?
some
You're watching
inmate
a.
just happened
Mm,
to know when the cameras were going to go out, knew that the guards were going to be asleep,
mm,
and got somehow opened up the cell and
mm,
killed the guy. It was so like two options. I think one, it was a hit because it
mm,
definitely smells like a hit. That's for
mm,
sure. Or fake the death so that he's off on his
mm,
island somewhere, still living.
mm,
Because probably he too had insurances or something, and I'm sure
mm,
through his dealings and what he did and all that stuff, he knew some pretty top level people that could pull this off. That could be like, okay, cool. So on X8 day, you're gonna commit suicide. We're gonna tell the media it's a suicide, and this is the story. Blah blah blah. And don't worry, they probably said something like this.
mm,
Don't worry, it happens all the time in prison. No one's gonna ask. Like,
mm.
but then when they thought about it, they're like, shit. How do we deal with the camera? How do we deal with the guards?
And the other thing is people cannot let go of this. But there's this. I mean, a good part of this is that I saw some article somewhere that Andrew, or rather Prince Andrew, was fighting extradition, was dealing with high level attorneys in the UK to prevent his extradition to the US to face criminal charges
Interesting.
and or not necessarily face criminal charges, but face questioning
Mm.
regarding his relationship with the said Mr. Epstein. Um,
But you can
and
see.
I mean, I don't know if you watched his whole little talk that he did, his interview that he did after his whole relationship. I mean, look, I'm no, I'm no body reading expert, but let me just, I'm just gonna. I don't think he was being completely forthright with us about his association with Mr. Epstein and some of the ladies that may or may not have frequented said aeroplane. So
No, of course not.
um,
I mean, like I watched. I didn't even watch the whole thing. I just watched bits, and you could see he's stuttering. He's taking his time to think about the answer, which is okay. Taking your time to think about an answer isn't necessarily a bad thing. Politicians do that, but again, politicians aren't exactly the most
yeah.
trustworthy
Now,
people.
now, do yourself a favor. There on YouTube, there is a channel called Body Language Ghost Reader or Ghost Reader Body. It's something like
I know
like
it.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And she actually does, and she does spot on analysis, and she does this for a living, right?
Hmm.
and she's done a couple of these events where some of these high level people are being interviewed, and she did one on him, and she straight up says he's lying. He's lying. If you are like, you should do a polygraph.
Mm.
You know. So I mean, anyway, again, that's just another theory.
Yeah.
That's an actual conspiracy theory because it's an illegal activity.
So we got 2 comments here that I want to quickly address. Beth Symes, I got it right this time. I'm late, but I'm here. Welcome, Beth. Thank you for tuning in. And then Storm's also saying welcome to you. Thank you, Storm. And then Storm asked a question, which I think is will get us is interesting. At this point, this is what he says. At this point, I'll just ask an opinion on every conspiracy I know. So just skip when preferred. Views on the moon landing. It's fine. You can ask these questions. This is what this episode is about. If any of you that are watching want to know our opinion, we'll give a very short opinion, because probably in the future, Werner and I will
do a longer discussion.
We'll do a longer discussion on it, and then you guys can actually comment. If someone says like, "Hey, what do you think about JFK?" and we give our opinion, and you're like, "Oh, we want you to talk more about it," let us know in the comments, and then we'll make an episode on it. So, moon landing, that was something that was on the tip of my tongue. I see. Here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing about the moon landing, right? Mythbusters, for those of you who watched that series, Mythbusters debunked that it was a conspiracy theory. Now, but there's the opposite side where people are like, yeah, but Mythbusters is TV or whatever, and it could have been faked, and it could have been, all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know. What do you say, Werner?
Well, if you start from the supposition that the moon and space is all real, then you must start from that from the supposition. It's with everything. Everything has got like this knock-on effect depending on what your belief system is, right? So if you start from the supposition that the moon and space is real, then of course is it very likely that they landed on the moon? For sure. Why haven't we gone back? That may be a very good question.
Because it's expensive. That's why.
It's expensive, but there's some very interesting questions, like the Van Allen belt. How come now it's a problem, but before it wasn't a problem? Going through the Van Allen belt, you're not familiar with that
because
so.
Isn't that the debris belt? Is that what you're talking about? The debris that's around?
No. The Van Allen belt is a high radioactive belt that sits around the Earth that kind of also protects us, in a way.
It's part of the ozone layer.
No. It's like a radioactive belt that sits in outer space, right? So when you go through it, you can go through it with the space vehicle and all that kind of stuff, right? But you're not insulated in any way. It goes through the vehicle, right? So there's one of these interviews with some folks at NASA where they asked them, so why haven't we gone back to the moon? And he says because of the Van Allen belt, because you'd get basically cooked through the radiation. So immediately the question pops up and says, so how did they survive the first time around? So
they had special suits just in case. I don't know.
Yeah. So there's some interesting things like that.
Hold on.
If you're familiar with Kubrick's film, with Stanley Kubrick's work, so there's a theory that there's a couple of theories. One that says we went, but the actual footage was never released, and the footage that we saw was the faked footage.
Yeah,
and what was actually recorded there, none of us have seen because they don't want us to see it. And there's others that saying that we didn't make it because we never went.
Well, Bev says, my dad said there's no way the moon landing was faked because Russia would have proven that the US didn't beat them.
Fair point. Of course. It's a very, very, very fair point. Assuming that your two political opponents were, in the true sense of the word, real opponents. So if you depending on how high you believe the hierarchy goes of who controls what, Because at the end of the day, it's not political leaders.
Mm.
Political leaders are not elected; they are selected.
Yeah. Look,
You know,
in my opinion, I think it's real, but that's just
mm,
the patriotic American in me coming out.
mm.
I would be, I think, devastated to learn that it was fake. And like Beth's dad said, like, I wanted America to win that space race, and for
Of
me,
course. I mean, it's you want like I mean, there's nothing I want more than a freaking spaceship and a spacesuit and like just go like from my little house like up into space and go fly around and like lasers. There's nothing that I want more in this world, right?
which
Yeah,
does
but
happen. I mean, there's a space station. There's a space station. Astronauts are there all the time. But the moon landing hasn't happened. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's real. I think it's. But you know what?
we
Maybe,
can go into this. We can go
maybe.
into this. We do the fours and like for the pros and con,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
for and against, for
We'll
and
do
against.
this in another episode. I
Yeah,
really want people to maybe ask us opinions on other conspiracy theories. So if you're listening, you want us to know or give our opinion on conspiracy theories, please just let us know in the comments. But very quickly, I think I forgot what I was going to say. Great. It's fine. We'll leave it for another time. We're talking about conspiracy theories in general. We're talking about
mm,
how people react to the term conspiracy theories.
mm.
Let us know in the comments when you hear the word conspiracy theory. What do you think of? Are you immediately the kind of person that shuts off and says, "Oh man, that's hogwash," or do you get intrigued? Or is there one specific story or theory that pops up in your mind
Mm.
immediately? Let us know in the comments.
I'm sure everyone has their favorite, like
Yeah, like I said,
I,
mine has always been Roswell and alien stuff. What's yours?
wow, I mean, there's so many. Why must I choose just one?
Top three.
Um,
That's a good one. Top three for Werner.
top three. Okay, so I would definitely say the whole UFO phenomena because that's where my interest in conspiracies kind of started. Was as a kid reading a lot of books about UFOs and UFO phenomena, how it started in the 40s, etc., etc. And I've subsequently, there's you go through these phases, as you read certain materials, and you go, okay, well, perhaps maybe what we saw during the 40s, etc., wasn't actually UFOs, but it was German Germans special research kind of stuff, So has any of the UFO sightings that we've seen actually been from off planet, or has it all just been secret projects that's been funded by so these are the questions that you kind of the deeper the rabbit hole goes, the longer time you spend it, you start seeing that a lot of these various conspiracies you can almost all these theories somehow intertwine with each other, because at the end of the day it all kind of comes back to the same kind of groups, the same kind of people that because it's just you follow the money.
Yeah.
That's what it always is. Follow the money.
Mm.
Because nobody does anything for free in this world.
Yeah.
I don't care how patriotic you are. No, I'm dead serious.
No, you're right. You're right.
Like because patriotism, and I get why Americans feel patriotic about the USA because it is arguably a fairly free country, fairly free. There's very free speech. The rights to bear arms. These are important tenets of a free society.
Mm.
It may be a fucked up society, but it's still a free society.
Yeah.
it's, so
Two,
I'm not.
number two, and
Yeah.
number three.
Okay. So number two, I would definitely also say JFK, the JFK assassination,
And
because that definitely, I think, changed the course of the history of our world.
yeah, that's true. And three.
Like without a, ooh, um, I would say definitely at the moment the QAnon theory,
Okay.
the human, and
Which reminds me, for those of you who haven't watched it yet, not the first, okay, so this is going to sound very confusing. There's a sit down and lockdown show that I did with Werner, which is pretty much what started this show. You can go and watch that very interesting topic that we spoke about, which is about South Africa and opening your mind and getting research and not sticking to mainstream media. So go watch that. Then we started the Let's Talk show, which we talked about QAnon. So please go watch that. Werner takes us through the ins and outs of QAnon, what they are, their definition, how they operate. It's very fascinating stuff if you're into conspiracy theories. But be warned, because I showed it to my wife,
Mm.
and she doesn't have the time, but she's always saying like, I gotta get on that website. I gotta get.
Mm.
So be
Yeah.
warned, if conspiracy theories tickle your fancy, you might be opening a new door
Mm.
in your life.
Because this is one of those ones where the probability factor, the probability stack
Yeah,
is just way up here,
yeah.
and the BS stack is like way down here.
So we got
Yeah.
Beth, who says that when she hears conspiracy theories, she thinks of flat earthers.
Mm.
That's what she thinks of.
Yeah,
Then
of
we,
course. Yeah.
that's the one for me where I'm like, oh come on, just f off with that.
But did you look into it?
I have. It doesn't. None of it really. I mean, I'm sorry. There's. I don't know. For me, that just doesn't make sense. None of it really makes sense. I don't. I
So,
can't. I can't.
so
It just. It's like someone telling me that the color of the sky is not blue. It's pink. But I've been told that it's blue, and that color that I've
mm,
always known that is blue is
mm,
actually pink, and pink is blue. That's how I feel about it. And I'm like,
mm.
you know what? I just can't. I
It
can't.
is, it is, it is, it is one of those that are so crazy and so out there, right? I had to go through it. I had to. And um, and this is where in that discussion, I said, the one is you need to be able to hold two opposing concepts in your head at exactly the same time.
Mm,
And if your head doesn't explode because of that, then then you can truly call yourself disconnected from any reality,
yes.
right? So I don't know if you've ever watched this talk where Elon Musk, where they ask him about the simulation theory.
Mm,
Have you heard of this,
no.
right? So which says that we live in basically a form of a simulation,
Like the
which
Matrix and Truman Show.
yes, but given what we know about science, what science says, if we look at quantum science and the quantum realm and possibility and string theory and these kind of things, right? So that, like the simulation theory and quantum theory sort of
Mm,
touch on each other. So and what quantum theory says is that and this is what is said in sort of allegory also a lot of times, is that the truth is in the eye of the beholder.
yeah.
So it really comes down to what you believe, right? And this is where like I'm leaning very much towards we do actually live in some form of a simulation.
Okay.
It is, so whether you take it as if like this massive, expansive physical realm that is collapsed through probability and quantum material that connects via, so there's like this big whole expansive thing that takes millennia of time through our perception of time, right? But it's that what you want to believe, that is what it's going to create for you. So if
Mm,
you look at what the mathematics is used, etc., on the globe model and the mathematics that's used on the dome model, both of them work out.
interesting.
Both of them work out. So if you if you look at this independently, you look at the other one independently, and you can do experiments for the one, and you can do experiments for the other, and both of them will work out.
Mm.
So you can shape your reality either way, depending on what you want to believe.
So Keanu Reeves is the one that's going to save us.
Mm.
Then there's Storm says, which I think ties in with what you said earlier. Conspiracy drives passion for knowledge.
Mm.
Whether it's correct knowledge or not, it's a different story, which is very
Yeah,
true. Um,
absolutely.
and then we have here Tracy has joined in. Tracy Lee Wagner. Hello, Tracy. Thank you so much for tuning in. She says she's high at the moment. Well, good for you. You and Werner will get along very well. Conspiracy marathon. Correction. Okay, cool. So they're talking amongst themselves. I think. I'm not sure. Um,
Okay, so no actual questions, just
yeah, comments. But yeah, that's very true, Storm. I think that's how I also look at it. Like I just want to know. Like, I want to know. Cool. You think the Earth is flat? Convince me. Why? You know, and if I can ride your gravy train, if I can get on your train, I will.
Mm.
Otherwise, I'll give it a pass. I'll be like, you know what?
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
go
yeah,
on that one. You take the ride. That's cool. I'm not gonna
yeah.
hate you. I'm not gonna hate you if you believe
Mm.
the Earth is flat. I might think, where did your schooling go wrong? But other than that, like, I'll be fine.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, the thing is, nobody's schooling went wrong. Like the schooling is exactly what it was meant to be and what it was designed to be. So and if your schooling was any good, it would teach you to question everything, no matter how stupid the question might seem.
I'm gonna correct you there. I think it is the teacher's obligation to do that. I'll tell you why. It was my history teacher who arguably may have actually started the whole conspiracy theory thing, because he was the one that said the exact same words to me. He said, "Don't be afraid of questioning everything you know." Even
Yes.
even in, I think he said it more to get the kids to ask him questions about history. But he always said, "Don't be scared to question everything you know."
And look, I mean, the scientific method says straight up, you should never be opposed to revisit your previous theories and your conclusions that you came to, because it's an experiment. You run an experiment, you have an outcome. An outcome may not always be exactly the same. So, you do it over and over and over and over until you say, okay, with a certain surety, if this was my theory, I've tested it numerous times and the result checks out
Yeah.
time after time after time after time. And if that theory can be independently verified by others, then it becomes the accepted standard.
Mm.
But the more complex the nature of the thing becomes,
Mm.
it gets revised.
Mm.
And this often happens in algorithms
Mm.
and models of time and space.
Yeah.
These things are theories, and they'll do tests which
Yes.
kind of prove it to a certain point. But then, 10 years later, a new scientist has invented a new way of inspecting time and space and the whole fabric of nature, and now proves the model slightly different.
Exactly.
So um, who knows what our understanding of reality will be in 100 years from now?
Oh, it's going to be vastly different. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, maybe we regress completely and become tree monkeys again.
Maybe. Beth Symes says, "I really should have got some seeds." Speaking of that, isn't that a conspiracy theory? How weed got made illegal? I don't know. Is it, Werner?
I think to a certain degree, yes. I mean, there was money and powers involved that were involved in terms of banning it in the first place, because hemp was a very much a widely accepted crop for. Let me put it this way: cannabis has been legal way longer than it has been illegal. It was only made illegal here, and I stand corrected. I think it's around 37, around there. I could be wrong.
She says something about the paper mills. I don't know if that rings a bell
Mm.
for you. It seems like everybody in the chats are weed smokers. I smoke this. Um,
And it's very easy to say, all you conspiracy theorists are all a bunch of dagga smokers, a whole bunch of weed smokers.
yeah, well, you're living up to the
Your brains,
stereotype right now.
your brains are fried. Your brains are fried. You don't know how to distinguish between reality and what is fake anymore.
Storm says schooling is the same. How we perceive it is different. Exactly. No, that's also right. Like we said, you have to be willing to question everything you know, and don't be shy to. I think that's the best kind of schooling you can get, where you're taught something, and you should be able to challenge your teacher. You should be able to, and if your teacher's good, they can back it up. If your teacher's good, they can teach you how to debate properly. They can teach you how to learn those skills, that it's okay to question, but it's also okay to know when to say, okay, cool, I see your
Except, yeah,
point,
yeah.
and
When
move
the
on.
when the information and the knowledge rings true and feels
Yes.
true, it's and I think most people have a good a good BS radar.
Yes.
Because, and I think this is why when a lot of people start looking into specific theories, and there's specific ones that they look into, like the QAnon and Q. The moment you start going down that and you start actually properly digging into what's being said over the past 3 years, people are converted, not because they're all crazy and fools and idiots, it's because the data and the evidence pile stacks up way higher than the BS pile.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Tracy Lee Wagner is a teacher, and she agrees with what I said, and she agrees with what you said as well. And Beth says she's not a smoker, she's not a weed smoker, but she wishes that she was. Well, Ben.
Yeah, it's never too late to start. I was, look, here's the, and look, here's the honest truth, right? I only started smoking weed in my mid-30s. Yeah, early 30s, mid-30s. Up until then, I believed all of the propaganda about cannabis. It was the devil's drug. It was the this. It was the that. I believed everything you said about it. And,
really? I've only known you as a
no,
weed
dude,
smoker.
no, I was not. No, I was this. I was such a stuck up,
Really?
mainstreamer. It was, dude, I like. I mean, I'm a little ashamed to admit this, but I actually entered for a certain political party's young leadership program. I'm not gonna say who, but and
Oh my word!
I actually, I actually got through some of the interview rounds and all that kind of stuff, and thankfully, like I freaking came to my senses, and I kind of bailed out before
Wait.
shit got real.
I know this is gonna go off topic, but like, what broke your perception of weed?
I read an article of the gentleman and a woman by the name of Jules and Myrtle, the Dacha couple. They're more commonly known as the Dacha couple. They were eventually sort of part of the big legal push to legalize cannabis in South Africa. So I read an article about them many years ago, and I read about their legal challenge, for their right to smoke weed. And when I read what they said, it seemed like they made a fairly reasonable argument, So, and that was one of my first, what I would think was sort of truther moments, where I started reading up about cannabis like insane. I did about 6 months just research on the plant as much as I could, historical documents, videos, all kinds of stuff, and I contacted them, and Jules and Myrtle are actually good friends of mine now. I've been hosting the South African Cannabis Festivals like for the last 10 years or so, or however long, it's 8 years or something that we've been doing them up in Joburg. And this is where I sort of get this is where I got this t-shirt from as well. It's sort of from Fields of Green. But anyway, so yeah, it's only been about the last 8 years or so that cannabis has been sort of part of my mainstream life, and that's also why I moved out of the city. It's because I back then I figured, well, this argument was solid. There's no way that we're not gonna get it legalized. It's gonna happen. It's just gonna take time, right? So I bought some land. We bought some land, moved out of the city with the intent to cultivate, not necessarily for large scale, but just for personal consumption and also just for R&D. I like to tinker, and I'm a bit of a amateur. I wouldn't say chemist, but I like to play. Do some biology and science and
Breaking Bad vibes.
Yeah. No. I'm not cooking meth and shit like that. I do permaculture, so I've got a deep interest in plants, and like we grow fruit trees, and like I grow bamboo. I grow lots of weird, strange stuff. So and we look at how we incorporate fungus into the soil and all kinds of interesting things. So from that sense, I'm a little bit of like a geek, full on.
A connoisseur, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm a complete autodidact. I'm not qualified as anything at all. I'm self-taught in everything that I've done. I think the only qualification I really have is some programming qualifications from exams from donkeys years ago, and uh, my permaculture design course that I did. And those are the only real qualifications that for the rest of it, I'm completely self-educated,
Mm.
self-trained, and I've worked in big corporates. I've built insane systems that a lot of people have probably used and don't even know about. And
Mm.
it's cool that I've done that. And anyway, so it's completely off topic. So weed, cool.
Yeah. The chats are having their own conversation about cannabis. They're talking about cannabis tea, and Beth is saying that she would like some to help her sleep. Yeah, and then there's, I don't know what.
Can recommend. Look,
Uh,
here's the thing about cannabis, right? It's in the beginning when you start taking it, you'll go through the giggles, you'll go through all the kind of stuff, right? When you get to the regular consumer, what I call the daily user level, it doesn't make you high anymore.
mm,
Like, I mean, I don't get
there's a
stoned. I don't
tolerance
get,
level, so to speak.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and then it's really just becomes, we call it medicinal use because it keeps, it's a great anti-inflammatory. It, uh, it certainly helps with the appetite, so and your metabolic rate seems to like so. I mean, I'm 42, right? I don't really train that much, and I mean, I'm healthy, I'm fit. I haven't been sick in 8 years,
Mm,
and I largely attribute that to my starting the use of cannabis.
mm. Well, unfortunately, Beth had to. Her children got up again, so she has to put them back to bed. She says good night, guys and girls.
But
Thank you for tuning in, Beth. Sorry that we may have woken up your kids, but thank you for tuning in. It was a pleasure having you here.
mm,
Yeah, well, we're nearing the end of the hour anyway, so we went a bit off topic. But weed has always been, I think, is an interesting topic. Also, I didn't know that there was a conspiracy theory around it, though, about like making it
oh
legal.
yeah, no, look, it's again, I mean, it's money, it's power, it's control.
Mm,
Um, And cannabis is the great equalizer to my mind, and this is just my observation. I've in all of the years that we've done the cannabis festivals and that I've hosted them, we've always had around, anything between 3.5 to 4,500 people on the day, and that's a lot of people, right?
mm,
To have in an area and move through and so on, right? And we've had them in very confined spaces. Now, you often think of festivals, right? Um, Things get out of hand, right? At our festivals, we've not had one fight, we've had not one issue. Like we've, at the worst, we've had people get a little bit dehydrated because they smoke too much, and they don't drink too much, and they don't drink enough water, So, and we've had people from all walks of life. You had Indian folks, colored folks, black folks, white dudes, old wimmies and tunnies, and it was people from every walk of life that you can imagine, having an interest in the plant and over the years it's evolved and it's become quite mainstream. Like cannabis is mainstream right now, right?
yeah.
And I think some of the biggest consumers of cannabis in the country right now is elderly people that's using it for arthritis, that's using it. I mean, I know more people in their 50s and their 60s using cannabis now than I know youngsters,
Wow.
as a medicine,
Mm, yeah.
um, so I mean, I mean, I can talk about this for like hours and hours and just this specific topic, because I've been living and breathing this culture for like literally for like the past 8 years, and it was one of my first sort of big missions.
Mm.
On Facebook, the daily like cannabis must be legalized. It's for our hunger.
Well, I mean, look, I've never had anything. I've tried it. I'm not gonna lie. I've tried it a few times in my life. Um, I don't like the sensation that I get where I'm not in control of my body. I've had one or two really bad trips on it where I got greenies and stuff like that. And I tried it again like a few years after that, and I just never really. I did it moderately. I didn't overdo it. I was in a safe environment. I was with my friends. But I just never enjoyed that sensation. I never. Everyone's always like, yeah, but I'm so creative with like, oh man, I write the funniest things. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not funny when I'm on weed. I'm just hungry. Like, and I already got an
Mm,
eating problem, so I don't want to eat even more. And yeah, it just never appealed to me. I don't mind if people do it around me. It's
mm,
not like I'm a snob where I'm like, oh, don't like, you know how cigarette smokers and
mm,
non-cigarette smokers. I'm not like that. If you want to come to my place and smoke up, that's fine.
mm,
I don't mind. I really, it's
yeah,
you know, I mean, you know, I was with you on the one of the
mm,
cannabis marches
yeah,
that
yeah,
we did.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
really have nothing against it. Doesn't bother me if it's legal. Doesn't bother me if it's illegal. Um, I do think that it should be legal, and simply because it's one of those things that people are doing it anyway. America's
Mm,
made it legal. Country
mm,
hasn't gone to shit. Um,
mm.
you know, it's opened the doors for more jobs. It's
Look,
another tax income.
I mean, aside from smoking it, and it's, yeah, yeah. I spend sometimes, upwards of 10 to 14 hours a day writing software. Um, it does help me focus, but there has been times in my life when I've used too much.
Mm,
I can admit that. I mean, I've got no. It's with anything. You can drink too much coffee, and it can negatively
exactly.
affect your heart and your
Mm,
concentration.
yeah.
So.
Just like drinking. You can drink
Mm,
moderately and have a nice buzz or relax. But if you drink too much, you get drunk, and then you're an idiot. So it's the same thing. That's why I think like legalizing weed isn't the worst thing in the world. It's really not.
mm.
If
Look,
people,
from an industrial perspective, right, there are so many things that we can do. I'm very interested from a 3D printing capability in creating a form of like a carbon-based printing material
hmm,
that you can derive, or because you can create the form of plastic from the hemp plant.
hmm,
So it'll be interesting to see, my type of research where I want to go is into conversion of plant material into um, plastics, recyclable plastics, and hard
hmm.
resin-based stuff.
Yeah, I've heard of
So
that.
that you can use a 3D printer, and if you've got some land, you can grow a couple of hectares, and you can have a couple of kgs, or I don't know, but some material that you can use to print high quality, components with,
Hmm.
that is durable, and so I want to do some R&D around that process, that conversion process from raw material to usable, kind of like what Henry Ford did with his hemp car and his hemp,
Yeah,
the hemp plastic and that kind of stuff,
yeah.
but just put a modern spin on it.
That's cool. I think that I look again that I've heard about all that stuff, the
Mm.
potential that hemp has, and again, like I said, I've never been like against it. It doesn't bother
We can
me.
talk about psychedelics too. I mean, like psychedelic mushrooms and those kind of things, like,
Yeah,
and
okay,
ayahuasca's.
that's where I'm like, eh.
And this is, and this is a look. I'm making no bones about it. I mean, we're way over the time now anyway. So, but there is science in using psychedelics to treat people for depression, PTSD, and I'm now I'm beating that same drum that I did for cannabis. I'm beating that same drum for some psychedelics, not all, and um, this is a fascinating topic. And if you go back, how some of the research that was done in the 70s, some psychedelics can do in a night what most psychiatrists can't do in 10 years.
Okay, I tell you what. Maybe
That's a
for
topic for another day.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
for the next one or the one after that, because
Yeah.
again, we like to talk about interesting topics, conspiracy
And
theories,
this
and
is a
top of
fascinating one.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Your
So
mind will literally be blown.
for those of you that are watching now and want to like, because I'm against it, I'll be honest with you. Psychedelics, some of them, I agree with you. Some of them,
Mm.
I'm against. I don't see how it could be a good thing, but I'm interested to know. I'm
Once
interested
you
to
hear the
hear.
history, man, once you hear the history and stuff, I promise you, you're like something in the back of your mind's gonna go, this is an unfair prejudice that I've made against some. against Mother Nature.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, and I'm talking natural, plant, organic based things. I'm talking things that have been used by cultures.
Mm,
Um, the Aztecs,
mm,
Mexican cultures that have used peyote
mm.
as as a medicine. Again, we talk about these things as used in a medicine context, not like, hey, I'm gonna pop a few things and then go to a rave. That's not my idea of fun,
Yeah.
you know. So it's again fascinating topic. We will
Okay.
talk about this.
We'll
Your
talk
mind will
about
be
it,
blown.
definitely.
Mm.
So let us know in the comments if you do want us to talk about it, but we're probably going to talk about it either way. But do let us know in the comments below and in the chats if you can, or in the comments when you're watching this, whenever it is you're watching this. If there's any conspiracy theories you do want us to dwell into,
Bigfoot,
Bigfoot, JFK, moon
Mohammed,
landing,
9/11,
9/11.
UFOs,
Yeah, there's so many.
Antarctica. Antarctica is an interesting one. There's some interesting stuff around Antarctica, that we can talk about. There is the
Bigfoot,
Royals.
Loch
Yeah, I
Ness
mean, it's
Monster.
this. Yeah,
The list can go on and on and on, and just give us some ideas. Maybe there's one we haven't heard of. I highly doubt it.
yeah,
Venner knows so much, but
yeah.
maybe one I haven't heard of in the comments. Please surprise us. Flat Earth, I think, would be an interesting topic to also talk about. I think a lot of people are talking about that. But anyway, let us know. We've done a little bit over an hour, but it's fine. Yeah, this was an interesting chat. I really enjoyed it. Today, like I said, tonight we were talking about conspiracy theories, the term, and how people feel when they hear that word. Do you feel that it makes you
Does it
cringe?
offend you?
Does it
Are
offend
you
you?
offended?
Or do you ears perk up
Do
and
you,
think of
mm,
something? Oh yeah, I love hearing about the 9/11 or whatever.
mm.
So if you're watching this later and it's not live, please do comment below. Let us know which conspiracy theory you like and which one you would like us to talk about, and we'll definitely talk about one of them. For now, this has been Let's Talk with Vanner and Joe. We will probably do this again within a week. We'll see. I'll talk with Vanner after this. Don't want to promise anything just yet. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for the comments. We had a few viewers. And Tracy Lee Wagner, thank you so much. Beth Symes, thank you. Sorry for waking up your kids. Storm, thank you for also tuning in. Hope you got that editing finished. And Deborah Smith, thank you also for your comments and everything that you said.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe, be safe, and we'll see you at the next one. Cheers.
Good night.